Yeah, hi people. It's me, obviously, Morgan Ravenberg. As always, Andrew, as usual. Yeah, I'm briefly going to discuss if it is okay, as you can tell from the header, again, as always, Andrew, as usual. If it's okay to not have friends, especially as an adult, which is something that, at the very least, a lot of people have. Most people, if not a lot of people. Now, plain and simply put, a good deal of people, especially adults, they don't have friends. They don't have people to interact with, to socialize with, and to do stuff like that with. Now, the simple question is, does that equal loneliness? No. Generally speaking, the answer is no, and it all depends. The other answer is that, yeah, it is normal. It's normal to not have friends, especially as an adult. Friends, generally speaking, are stuff that are people you do fun stuff with when you're young. You know, when you're a child, a teenager, all the way up until young adolescence. But with most people, they notice that, for example, when they around well, for most people, including myself, around like when you're 18 years old, you notice that you start you start interacting with less of these friends, and you start being more by yourself and whatnot. All of that stuff is normal. Okay, hanging out with friends and whatnot, that kind of stuff. Generally speaking, it just naturally goes away. If you But again, this is not something that you should just stand for. If you genuinely want like companionship or camaraderie, or you just want to plain simply hang out with people as an adult, that is possible, but it is generally speaking much it's substantially more difficult due to the fact that when you're an adult, you know, you need to pay bills and stuff like that. You have a lot less free time on your hands. That plays a pivotal role when you're a child, as opposed to when you're a child. When you're a child, then you have a lot more time on your hands. You don't really have to do anything. Your parents take care of everything regarding the household, and or most things at least, and you just don't have you have to do very little other than go to school and study and stuff like that. You have more time on your hands, and again, at that time, you're still growing, you're still learning how to interact with people in the world as a whole. So all of that comes into play. But for people that were wondering, yeah, no, generally speaking, it's normal to it's okay, it's normal to not have any friends, especially when you're an adult, especially also if you have children and a wife or husband. If you have a family overall, then yeah, usually all of your time goes up into that. And generally speaking, your significant other, to put it that way, is supposed to be your friend. Not to the point where you have to share everything with him or her, but you should at least that should at least be an option, to share a decent amount of information, especially if you're like stuck with something, as in you've got something on your mind, you want to share it with someone. Then yeah, other simplistic solutions I can come up with are online forums or stuff like that. Or if you have something of a deep-seated nature but you have no one to share it with, I would simply recommend recording it, kind of like an audio diary, in a non-girly manner if you're a guy, obviously, and simply play your recording for yourself. It's essentially it's some kind of indirect way of talking to yourself, and that will give you insight into your issue. And you can simply delete the recording, if you will, if you don't want it ever to be discovered by anyone under any condition or circumstance, and simply delete it when you're done. You simply sometimes want to get stuff off your chest, or you want someone to bounce ideas off on. That is a simplistic technique I can come up with to tell people. If for example interacting with someone else, another adult, is either too hard, or if it's simply impractical, because sometimes, even if you have a friend, you can't tell that friend every little thing, you know, because it might come off a certain way, specifically meant unpleasantly, or it might bring about some kind of inconvenience, or it might be risk prone, in the sense that it might come back to bite you in the ass in the future if you tell that friend. Because it doesn't matter how good a friend he is or similar, he might end up like telling other people, with all the negative consequences that follow. So yeah, you don't want, nor do you need any of that. So yeah, simply do what I said earlier. You can record yourself. Most cell phones, modern cell phones, have audio recorders, so you can simply record yourself. If not, simply write your stuff down, and then clear your mind, and then come back after a couple of hours and read your own stuff or listen to your own stuff. And that way you gain insight into whatever issue it is that you wanted to get off your mind, and you'll feel better. And you can simply discard your so-called diary. And that's all. Bye bye.